Less than 20 seconds left until period 2 starts. Reminder, at the concession stand, there is ice cream for all of you at the venue that are sweating your respective parts off. Everything good?
All right, coming into this game, Bridgetown Menace is ranked 7th in MRDA for the summer 2016 rankings, and New York Shock Exchange is ranked 4th for the summer 2016 rankings.
All right, we good on the overlay? For those of you watching on the stream right now, we're having some technical difficulties for the overlay. We'll try to compensate.
Jonathan R. is jamming for Shock Exchange.
Shreddy Mercury being called on a multiplayer block, one of those rare occasions. Jonathan R. fighting his way towards the front of the pack on the power jam. And towing that line on the inside, a little hop hop and lead jammer.
Bridgetown Menace sending Shock Exchange jammer to the outside. Jonathan R. back on the track. Clockwise block sends a Bridgetown Menace blocker to the penalty box. 5 points goes to Jonathan R. for the Shock Exchange. Jonathan R. gets the 4 points, then calls the jam. A nice 9-point jam for Shock Exchange to start this second half.
Current score 98 Bridgetown to 61 Shock Exchange. Definitely within striking distance for Shock Exchange. Kembo Slice out there for Shock Exchange.
Kembo Slice is called lead jammer for Shock Exchange. Munster is jamming for Bridgetown and being braced up by Shock Exchange. Number 17, Austin, comes in to disrupt the brace. Bridgetown doing an exceptional job of keeping jammer in the track. Kembo Slice calls it off. That was a lot of work for 0 points by both jammers.
Abe Drinkin getting it out of play, letting Munster get out. And it was called. 0-0, the score remains 98 Shock Exchange, 61. 98 Bridgetown, Shock Exchange 61.
Don Juan sent to the inside, recycled to turn 4.
Don Juan and Stankus both out there. Stankus being called on a high block. That gives Don Juan the power jam.
And I Don't Care Bears trailing right behind to the penalty box.
And Don Juan getting lead jammer
Don Juan fighting off two blockers. The pivot is left, and Don Juan is through for 5 points.
Bridgetown with a pack advantage, 4-3.
Don Juan swept outside. It's going to be a long recycle. Don Juan recycled almost to turn two.
Defensive destroyer with a great block to the outside, recycled, and then the jam was called.
5 points goes to Don Juan. Nice hit right off the line by Shreddy Mercury, who is lead jammer for Bridgetown Menace.
Jonathan R. getting knocked to the inside and coming back around.
Shreddy Mercury sent to the inside, recycled. Both jammers being graciously put to the back of the pack. And there's Shreddy Mercury picking up 5 points.
Cosmo Damage keeping that defensive line in line.
Nice footwork and strength by B. Schurz, taking on two Bridgetown Menace blockers and staying on the track.
Jukebox Hero going out for a direction of play penalty.
He's a superhero right there. B. Schurz.
Give me 1 second. I'm going to get it.
2 points. That's a total of 7 points put up on the board by Bridgetown Menace.
Signaling a 5 seconds.
Kenbo Slice jumps a little skip over the apex to become lead jammer. Cut track.
El Dorado getting a cut track on that first pass.
Defensive destroyer knocks Kenbo Slice out of bounds, but then goes out of bounds himself, so Kenbo Slice can jump back on the track.
Got a no pass, no penalty for 4 points for this power jam. Otto creating a wall. And Kembo being able to take that wall, spin around.
Number 4.
For 5 more points.
Pack going from turn 2 to about turn 4.
Kembo being knocked to the outside and calling it off for 2 points.
Nice 11-point jam by Shock Exchange, bringing the score to 110 for Bridgetown and 72 for Shock Exchange.
Both teams frantically fighting.
Both jammers stuck in quicksand at the moment.
Munster and Stankins both on the line. Munster finally punching through that last bit of blockers, getting lead jammer.
Stankis has not been able to get past the pivot line because of the great defensive work by Bridgetown Menace.
Munster taking that outside line, getting another 5 points for Bridgetown.
Munster take off the inside, calls the jam.
Star pass to Malcolm Sex at the very end of that jam, right before it was called off. Bridgetown getting 1 point, seeing the star pass and calling it.
Shreddy Mercury sent to the inside, recycled behind Shock. Working through the pack, and his lead jammer, Shreddy Mercury.
Jonathan R. fighting Bridgetown's front line. Shreddy Mercury recycled back a couple times. Just taking it easy.
Pack is spread from turn 3 to turn 4. Bridgetown Menace blockers in the front. Number 56 for Bridgetown Menace sent to the penalty box.
And the jam is called. 2 points for Bridgetown on that jam. Current score 118, Bridgetown 74, Shock Exchange.
Porta potties located outside at the entrance, which I was told everybody knows where that is.
Next up on the line, Kimbo Slice and Don Juan pile up at the back of the pack. Don Juan fighting his way on the outside, getting lead jammer.
Kembo Slice taken out of bounds by number 512, Cosmo Damage, who gets knocked out of bounds himself.
Don Juan getting his 3 points and calling it.
Following this game is the Dow Jones average versus the PJRD shenanigans. B. Schurz jamming for Shock Exchange. Going against Munster for Bridgetown Menace, and Bridgetown Menace is lead jammer. Shock Exchange locked up as Munster comes to the pack.
Five, 6 drawing, B. Schurz back. Both teams are slow moving at the moment.
Nice grouping of skaters going around the track at turn 4. Bisher is caught at the jammer line. Bridgetown Menace putting on the defensive abilities.
Munster getting 5 and calling it. Correction. 5-6 is M. Jensen. Fantastic defensive work in that last jam.
And Shreddy Mercury is through the pack. Called lead jammer for Bridgetown Menace as Kenbo Slice is caught in the pack. Shreddy Mercury makes his way through, gets 5 points.
Kenbo Slice being knocked to the outside.
Bridgetown Menace making Kenbo Slice work for every inch. Shreddy Mercury being very patient during this jam.
Taking a step to try an apex jump and then getting knocked to the inside. Coming back a little bit, taking his time. Shock Exchange had a star pass to Malcolm Sex. Shreddy Mercury catching it and calling it. And we have an official timeout called from the inside.
That was an 8-point jam for Shreddy Mercury, giving the score 134 for Bridgetown Menace to 74 for Shock Exchange.
Pretzels, chips, ice cream, pre-sale for pizza. You can do all those things at the concession stand. It's right next to the merch stand where you can get all the other things that you would want. T-shirts, sunglasses, all those kinds of things. Why not pick up some of that stuff? You know, if you feel like it.
And please don't ignore your stomach. It wants pizza and lots of it. $3 a slice or 2 for $5. Pre-sale from 12 to 3. Pizza will be here at 4.
Looks like we have a stoppage of play due to a perhaps blood on the track situation. We're not quite sure. Our first responders and NSOs are diligently looking for the problem. And we're back to the game. Slightly less than 13 minutes left in this period. Slightly as in like 2 seconds, you know. Starting off with Don Juan and Automatic out there on the line. Otter swimming through the inside, getting lead jammer. Don Juan getting called on a blocking with the head penalty. So this is a power jam for Otter. Slipping through, getting 5 points for Otter. For Shock Exchange, coming back around. Bridgetown recycling their diamond and keeping Otter from moving forward. Don Juan getting back in.
Jensen being very patient, sitting outside, waiting for the skaters to move ahead of him so he can get back on the track.
Otter being sent out on a low block. It's Don Juan's power jam. Looks like we're going full two. And the jam ends.
Wolverine up. It's good to see him skating on his feet. Number 10 for New York Shock Exchange. Number 82, Munster for Bridgetown Menace on the power start. Getting caught behind Shock Exchange. I Don't Care Bear in the bridge with harm's way helping. Munster stretching out the bridge and is able to get through for lead. Automatic taken down to the track. High block called on number 216, Jukes Block Hero. I Don't Care Bear causing Munster problems. Calls a jam, but Automatic gets through the pack, is able to jump through, picks up 4 points.
Fantastic moves by Otter.
Great awareness by Automatic to get those points.
You can hear the feet, right? Can you hear me right now? Can you hear me right now? It's 10 seconds behind. We can do the not let that play. It's annoying the crap out of us, right?
Shreddy Mercury sent to turn 4 on a recycle. And then dances out in front of the pack to become lead jammer for Bridgetown Menace.
Gembo being drawn all the way back past the jammer line. The entire pack going back past the jammer line to draw back Munster as well.
Great work by Loose Wheel and Jensen keeping Kenbo Slice in the pack. Shreddy Mercury calming his team down. 3 points put on the board by Shreddy Mercury.
Bridgetown has been playing a very patient offensive game towards the last 5 or 10 minutes.
Eldorado jamming for Bridgetown. Menace calls the jam. I've just been told that we have 108 people watching the stream.
Kenbo Slice and Munster on the line. Kenbo drawing Munster back. Kenbo Slice getting lead jammer.
Kenbo Slice is getting called for a cut track on that apex jump, which will give Munster and Bridgetown Menace the power jam. Bridgetown Menace clearing out space on the outside. Wyatt takes down Munster.
Shock Exchange's line keeping that pack form. I Don't Care Bear and Abe Drinkin keeping that defense strong against Munster.
Shock Exchange bridging, slowing down Munster, who gets through and picks up 5.
Kenbo taking a nice little spin over there to get to the inside for 4 points for Shock Exchange. Munster tries to call it off.
Thinks about it. Munster gets through. Briefly went out of bounds, but so did the blocker that knocked him out, so he is through the pack for 3 points.
Jam ends on its 2-minute finish. 8 points for Bridgetown, 7 points for Shock Exchange. Scores 152-93. Munster out there on the line with Jonathan R. One taking the inside, one taking the outside, then both crossing. And Shreddy Mercury, correction Shreddy Mercury, and Shreddy Mercury gets lead jammer.
Shreddy Mercury taking a breather, calls the jam as Jonathan R. comes into the pack. 0 points.
Bridgetown has been very good about being super aware of their other jammer. Calling that at the very last second. We've only seen it miss once.
No need to exert too much energy.
Little more than 4 minutes left in the second period. Back to the action. Don Juan up on the line against Kimbo Slice. Not much further up from the line, as both teams are holding incredibly strong walls.
Loose wheel comes in to disrupt the Shock Exchange wall, and it works. Shock Exchange tries to recover to get to the front of the pack to stop Don Juan.
Kimbo Slice getting lead jammer.
Destructive Destroyer sends Kimbo Slice out of bounds. Bishers and Wyatt at the front of the pack, slowing down Don Juan as Kimbo Slice takes a stroll through the inside line, picks up 5 points.
Kimbo just taking that inside line. Getting another 5 for Shock Exchange.
Bishers tries to clear out some space, gets Jensen away from the pack. And Kimbo Slice sent to the inside by Austin. Kimbo Slice falls small on the inside. And Shock Exchange lures Don Juan into a cut track. That ends the jam. Shock Exchange calling a timeout. Right now, Bridgetown Menace is up 152 to New York Shock Exchange's 107. We have a minute and 57 seconds left in this game.
So we're going from a timeout by Shock Exchange to an official review by Bridgetown now. It would appear that Shock Exchange is going to start on a and it would appear that pending the results and discussion that this official review will have, that Shock Exchange will start on a power chart. But we'll have to see exactly what the review entails.
It seems that you are very perceptive.
I like Derby.
Immediately following this game, Penn Jersey Roller Derby Shenanigans will be taking on the New York Shock Exchange Down Jones Average.
These are both the B teams for both of these leagues, and it will be a fun game. The officials are deliberating. The skaters are discussing. And the clock remains stopped.
And since the Shenanigans versus Dow Jones average game is next, at halftime of that game, the 50-50 raffle will be selected. So you might want to get your tickets now if you haven't already.
Find Malin Munster, who's going around getting the 50-50 tickets. So, flag her down. Get a 50-50 ticket. Perhaps win some money.
And there is still time to buy a pizza ticket pre-sale from 12 to 3. Pizza will arrive at 4 o'clock.
We'd also like to thank our first responders today, Nurse Ratchet and Just Megan. They've been keeping everybody safe throughout this entire event, and we appreciate them.
Also like the security, let them know that we appreciate them for being here too, not allowing us to get too rowdy.
If you can, thank a striped shirt, thank a black shirt, thank a yellow shirt. They're all doing a good job today.
And don't forget the porta potties outside. All right, Shock Exchange is on a power start.
For information about that official review, Bridgetown wanted a cut track call on the white jammer. Refs decided that the no call will stand.
Beautiful hit by Tommy Gunn, who's been making it a point to knock out a block or a jammer every chance he gets.
I don't care, Bear. Trying some offense, getting Jonathan R. a little bit further up. But he gets knocked to the inside and taken back.
Don Juan fights off the Shock Exchange to become lead jammer. I think Bridgetown Menace are trying to tell Don Juan to stop, but I'm not positive.
In a rare turn of events, the jam clock and the period clock are exactly the same.
I hope somebody is recording this for factual effects.
Looks like Don Juan is trying to burn out the clock just a little bit. Let the blockers do the work. Jonathan R. being called on an illegal procedure of some sort. Don Juan's power jam.
Well, I guess we could just sit and wait and see what happens.
I think we're all sitting and waiting and seeing what's happening. It looks like
all right, your official final. Bridgetown Menace with 152. New York Shock Exchange with 107. Give a big round of applause for both of these teams.
And we've been signaled by the jam timer that that is the final score. At least that's what they signaled. And they finally flipped it to final, which means that is the final. The officials are leaving the track. Everybody's being congratulatory.